Well, hello and welcome back to Slide Shakers. In this video, I'm going to talk about PowerPoint's newest feature called Cameo. It allows you to do things like this where you can add yourself directly into your PowerPoint presentation. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. So what exactly is Cameo? If you think about your slide and if you add a direct video feed into your slide, that's basically what Cameo is. But the cool thing is you don't have to limit yourself to this, boring old rectangle frame. Think about Cameo as an object that you place on your slide, just like a shape or a text box. When you add a shape to your slide, you can change the outline color, you can do things like reflections and glow and all sorts of funky things. You can even add animations and transitions to it. That's exactly what you can do with Cameo, and I'll demonstrate it in a second. So what exactly is the big deal with something like Cameo? Well, if you think about it, post-pandemic, most of our presentations are done remotely nowadays. And with remote presentations, you lose that engagement a little bit because with tools such as Zoom and Microsoft Teams, when you present your presentation, you get either pushed to the side or completely out of the screen. And the audience cannot see your body language and your face, and whether you're serious, whether you're cracking a joke, whether you're emphasizing something, all of that's missing. Those minute messages that you send through your body cues, your body language, all of that's gone when you do a remote presentation. But Cameo now allows you to add that back into your remote presentations. It also, because it's like an object that you place in your slide, you can do very, very creative things to help you convey and emphasize your key messages. Most importantly, I think it allows you to save time, because if you look at this video, I've done it using PowerPoint, right? And I've done it in a way where I'm just basically adding text and then my camera feed. Previously, if I only had text, I would have to think about things like what graphics can I put, what icons I can add in, what animations I need to add in, just to add that visual appeal or visual interest to make sure that the presentation isn't just a boring old monotonous text after text after text. But now with my feed in there, it gives it a whole new different feel. But of course, having said that, sometimes you do need your slide to actually really focus on the message at hand, and that's fine. You can actually take yourself out when you need to and completely just give that real estate back to your content, and when you need to, you bring yourself back, just like this. So how do you use Cameo in your presentations? Well, first of all, let's look at the requirements. You need to have a subscription to Microsoft 365. You also need a direct camera feed into your machine, so you can't use virtual cameras, for example. Last of all, you do need a good amount of memory and processing power on your machine. So if it's a very old machine, you might find that the camera feed and the presentation mode is running very slowly, or there's some lag or some voice delay in your presentation. So if you've got these three things, then basically you can start giving it a go. And that's basically what we'll do right now. Okay, so let's have a look. How do you insert a Cameo object onto your slide? Well, just go into the Insert menu on your menu bar, and then at the very end of that ribbon, you'll find the Cameo button. Click on that one, and you'll see a couple of things. First of all, you'll notice the Cameo object placed on the bottom right-hand corner of your slide. You'll also notice that a new ribbon has appeared on your menu bar, and it's labeled Camera. So what you can do here, this small icon allows you to toggle your preview on and off while you're in editing mode. You can also do the same thing here on the very top of on the left hand side of the ribbon. You can toggle on and off. There's a small arrow down on the beside it. If you click on that, you can choose to use a different camera if there's more than one camera plugged into your computer. Over here, it's the same as any image. You have pre-formatted options for you to change the way it looks. You can change the shape. Some of the shapes are already formatted with soft edges and stuff like that. If you want to go really funky, you can choose one of these shapes down here, like a heart or like a sun. I don't know when you will ever use any of these, but it's there if you need it. I'm just going to go back to plain old rectangle shape, and then you can even add things like camera borders right here. Choose I'm going to choose the red one. You can change the width of that border if you wanted to. You can add effects like shadows and reflections and glows, soft edges. I don't think I'll ever be using any of those for Cameo, but it's there if you need it. You can even rotate or flip your camera. If you don't like this angle of your face, you can flip it so it's the other side, if that helps. I'm gonna flip it back. You can crop it, and yeah, you can do anything that you want with it. It's as if it's another object on your slide. Of course, you can also animate this. So with this selected, I can go into my animations pane ribbon. So I'm just going to do fly in animation. What that does is it's going to fly in from the bottom to this current location here. So if I play it now, if I click on play, it'll be an empty slide. And if I click next, it flies me in from the bottom, right? Exit this presentation mode. I'm going to remove that animation. I'm going to click on animation pane and then remove this animation by deleting it. Okay, so now I'm going to do another thing. I'm going to add a transition. So I'm copying this slide. So Control C, Control V, or Command C, Command V. So you've got the same slide appearing twice. Now I'm going to move this. Well, let me just minimize this a little bit so you can see what's going on. I'm going to move my Cameo object towards the outside of the slide. And then I'm going to transition between this slide and this slide using the morph transition. So this is an object, and the property, the location property of this object is it's situated in the middle of this slide. In the second slide, the location has moved, or the the XY coordinates of this object has moved, and it's now out of the slide. So what will happen with this transition? It will morph from this location to this location very smoothly and very nicely. So let's have a look at what it looks like by going back into presentation mode. All right, so I've got my feed here, and if I click now to the next slide, it morphs me out of this slide. All right, so with that, I think that's enough of a basic introduction to Cameo. Please give it a go, and I will see you back on the slides with a few examples. Back into the presentation. So as you can see, I just want to show you that the possibilities are endless. You can do very funky things if you want to, just to, lighten up the tone of your presentation, like this, sitting in the kitchen counter. Or you could, build yourself some frames like this. I've built a, yellow and a gold and blue frame based on the colors of Slide Shaker's brand. You can do whatever you want with your brand. You could animate things onto your frame when you want them to, like that logo just came up. I could even add, my name as a lower third below and remove it as well when I need to. I can add text and emphasize that text when I want to talk about certain things. Think about it. Previously, if I wanted to do a video like this, I'd have to do all of this post-production, in a tool such as Adobe Premiere or After Effects or Final Cut Pro or something like that. But now I can do it in pre-production. I can do it while I'm planning my talk or my presentation. I can do it in PowerPoint itself. How cool is that? I mean, that's just like a game changer for me. If you want to really have fun, you can do something like this, where you've got your HUD display, something like a captain's log from the future, just to add some little fun into your presentation, right? Especially if you're a lecturer or a teacher and you want your kids to pay attention, you can do some really interesting and creative fun frames for your Cameo object. So what are the best practices when using Cameo? First of all, try and give your machine the memory and processing power it needs by quitting all other apps, as many as you can, not all other apps, but memory and processing power hungry apps that you have running on your computer. Things like, Photoshop, video editing software, Illustrator, whatever that's really hogging your memory. Try and quit them before you run a presentation using Cameo. I'd also recommend in your designs, keep it as simple as possible. You can see what I've done in this video. I've actually just kept it consistent. And the reason for that is, while you're experimenting, I totally recommend go all out, push it to the limit, do as many things as you can just to get the feel of what's possible with Cameo. But when you're designing your presentation, just keep it simple. Even if it's just a simple circle on the side of your presentation, if you keep it consistent, that's going to be a lot more professional looking than having different things appear in different slides, right? Show up or step aside. So again, remember, you don't always have to be in your slides. Now that you have Cameo, you can be there all the time. but it's again powerful to give that, that contrasting in your design. So when you need to step away, like how I did earlier, just move yourself out, transition or morph yourself out of the slide, show people the content, just let them focus on the content for a while, and then bring yourself back in, step aside and then step back in when you need to, right? Always build a curiosity gap in your design. So for example, what I've done here, instead of showing all my 4 points up front, I build them as and when I'm talking about them, right? So the moment the audience sees the title best practices, they start to feel, oh, okay, what are the best practices? If I already had all of them showing up like this, then they'd definitely be scanning while I'm talking and they won't be paying attention to what I'm saying. So you don't want that. You want them to be on a journey with you as you present your points. Okay, so now it's your turn. I'd like you to do 2 things. First, there's a link in the article to a PowerPoint file that you can download. It's just a bunch of examples I've put together very quickly to show you what's possible. Have a go with them and also try and do your own examples, your own creations. Use whatever formatting, animations, transitions that you can think of, and just have fun. And the next thing I'd like you to do is try and create something that you can present at your next remote presentation using Cameo. The more you try it, the more you get used to it, the more you'll know what works and what doesn't, and sooner or later you'll be doing some really awesome, engaging, powerful remote presentations using this feature. If you do end up using Cameo, I would love to hear how it goes, and please come back and leave a comment in this article. If you find this useful, I hope you share it with others, and if you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. All right, take care. Bye.